Good Saturday morning to you. I'm Nino Evangelista, and welcome to our discussion for today, Saturday, January 20th, 2024. Um, Several new things to go over this week, but including, first of all, as you'll probably notice, I'm trying out a new style of video, but of course, as always, the same old me. I'm gonna be trying this new style, just to see how things work out, and trying different things. If you like the new style, please let me know. If you don't like it, also let me know. But enjoy it. Let's see how this goes, and let's get started. First, one of the new things that I will be doing is headlines, and I actually did this at the very, very beginning of my channel. You probably won't be able to see it because those videos are gone. But I'm bringing them back, to kind of give an idea of what to look out for in this video. And I'm going to be talking about today, as you see, the current active cyclone Greg, I believe, but we're going to be talking about the Southern Hemisphere a little bit. Obviously, to show our Southern Hemisphere friends some love because they have cyclone activity too. And then, of course, we're going to do our usual look at El Nino and SOI, and we're going to look at some weather in the United States, just a little bit, not too much. But of course, we're going to look at the United States too, as well, just to see what's going on. First off, though, I'm going to start off in the Southern Hemisphere, as I did mention. Obviously, there is activity in the world besides the Atlantic and the Pacific, and obviously, especially in the Southern Hemisphere, because this is their summer season and going into their fall season pretty soon, right now. And of course, because of that, they do have activity. This area right here, this is the cyclone we're going to talk about. This is Cyclone Greg, and before you ask anything, they're the same phenomenon. They're just like hurricanes. They just call them cyclones in the Southern Hemisphere. Same phenomenon, just different names. Depending on what part of the world you're in. For instance, in the Western Pacific, we call tropical cyclones. That's the general name that these storm systems have. In the Western Pacific, we call them typhoons. Well, as opposed to where we are, or most of our viewer bases probably, is obviously hurricanes in the Pacific and Atlantic. In the Southern Hemisphere, we call them cyclones. And this is the latest satellite image that I was able to get. Obviously, this is a little bit old by a few minutes, but still, not too organized system. This isn't going to be something that'll be very strong, at least over the next several days, and I'll show you the intensity forecast in just a little bit. Gonna stay around a moderate system. Don't know the exact intensity on this right now, but we'll actually go to the next slide right here. I think roughly around 75 knots. That's at least the current intensity. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center, and this is its track. One of a few things that'll be, luckily this will be out to sea, won't really impact anybody at least over the next few days, so this will stay out to sea. But also this won't be a terribly strong system. This is at the end of the forecast period. This is the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, by the way. 75 knots is currently expected to be the intensity, and that's what I think it is at right now. So not much. Actually, I don't think so. But bottom line, what I'm trying to say, this won't be a very strong system. This will certainly strengthen. As you do know, 65 knots is equal to 75 miles an hour. So this is right around, I believe, hurricane strength intensity right now, but not expected to go much further than that. And luckily, we'll stay out to sea. All right. Now, though, let's talk about what's going on here in the Western Hemisphere, obviously with El Nino in the Atlantic, and some of the few things. This is Normal Coral Reef Watch, by the way. One of the few things you notice, Atlantic remains very warm. That's been the case we've been talking about for weeks. Off the coast of Africa, very, very warm anomalies, I believe, upwards of 2-3 degrees Celsius, and this has also been getting even warmer too. And the El Nino, slowly beginning to die down. We'll take a look at that as well, and I'll actually show you here on this next slide too. The Nino 3.4 region, these are the anomalies, basically the sea surface temperature anomalies, but focused on the Nino 3.4 region, which is, if you're not familiar, the region we look at for El Nino and La Nina monitoring. And right now, the latest value is 1.6, and that is a far decrease from when we've seen before. Especially towards the beginning of earlier this month, we were all the way at 2.2 degrees Celsius on the map. We're still in strong El Nino territory, but the bottom line is and you could especially see over the last 2 weeks, we've really dropped off. And one thing as to why this is happening, another thing we look at, the SOI dashboard. Basically, the Southern Oscillation Index, that's what it means, and that is the measurements of pressures in the Pacific, which help determine the strength of the trade winds along the surface of the ocean in the Pacific. And we've been in positive territory now, at least with the current 30-day average for the SOI. We're now in positive territory, and if you know how the SOI works, we usually look at the SOI in negative territory to correlate more with the atmosphere being in an El Nino. And the fact that we're in a positive SOI means the atmosphere is slowly beginning to shift away from this El Nino regime, and that is obvious, especially given how we're seeing a huge drop off in sea surface temperature anomalies in the Pacific. And here's a tweet from Eric Webb. Still with this new format, we'll bring up tweets, especially from people that we watch out for the most, Eric Webb being one of them. And he is impressed with how quickly we've responded. Of course, if you remember earlier, we talked about the Indian Ocean dipole, which was the sea surface temperatures in the Indian Ocean collapsing, and this means slowing and amplifying the MJO over the Indo-Pacific. And then he mentions how quickly we responded, and he mentions here in this graphic, this is the SOI. And basically, if you're wondering what he's saying here, the Indian Ocean dipole collapsed. MJO was able to amplify in the Indian Ocean, which is not conducive in an El Nino atmosphere. That's a lot more of something that we see in transitions to La Nina. And because of that, the atmosphere is responding accordingly, and we're seeing things begin to trend more in the direction right now in the atmosphere, closer towards a more neutral La Nina phase, or at least the atmosphere is beginning to shift away from El Nino. And these are all very important signs, obviously. And one more to look at, this is the T-depth anomalies. And you could even see that here in the sea surface temperature anomalies. This is also what he means when we talk about the Indian Ocean dipole collapse, is this huge building of all these cold anomalies in the Pacific of the ocean. This is obviously also as well east of 180 degrees. This is roughly around the international date line. And now we're seeing those anomalies build to the east of that too. So roughly, this area right here is in the Western Pacific, and as we get east of this line, 180 degrees, this is the international date line. Now we're into the Central Pacific, and notice where all these anomalies are going. These are just going to continue to build east, and we're also seeing this huge warm area. This is what's helping keep our El Nino stable right now. And these anomalies are just going to continue to build to the east until this eventually erodes, and this will then come to the surface. And that's when we'll see our transition to La Nina, as probably most of the models do expect. And you do notice as well how this cold pool has gotten stronger and more steady as well over the last few weeks. This is going out since November. So it's a process, and it's happening. It's coming on. And it's definitely following in line with all the global climate models guidance that we've seen so far for this upcoming hurricane season. They're all falling into place, and even though it's only January, the pieces are still there, and they are once again falling into place. A bunch of things to watch, and all very interesting for sure. Of course, though, moving to United States weather, obviously we've had a lot of storminess, especially in the eastern United States. We've actually gotten more snow here in New York City and other places across the mid-Atlantic. They got quite a bit of snow yesterday, not too much, but still a decent amount. We had a quick moving system, and that brought several inches to portions of New Jersey and Philadelphia. Philadelphia, I think, actually closed schools. Not here in New York City, though, unfortunately. But that is now moved out. But the cold air is still in place. All of these watches and advisories you see here has to do with wind chills and cold air that is still in place across portions of the central and eastern United States. All these purples in here, hard freeze warnings, and there's even a freeze warning that extends all the way down into southeastern Louisiana. So a lot of cold air still there, though that's actually going to begin to move out as we head in towards the next week. But luckily, at least for right now, there is no severe weather really anticipated, or at least in a major way. This is today's outlook by the Storm Prediction Center. No thunderstorms forecast at all across anywhere in the United States, and then it remains more on the marginal side as we head towards the day 2 and day 3 outlook. Bottom line, though, no significant severe weather expected, which is always a good thing, especially given the last few weeks, which have been quite active, to say the least. But with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. And that's the first video done with this new format. I really want to know what you guys think about it. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Would always appreciate feedback from the community, obviously. And once again, if you're new and if you like what you saw, would really encourage you, please subscribe on YouTube. Probably the first thing you should do. I really encourage you. And then I also have Twitter too. I'm still going to call it Twitter, not the other thing. Still believe it's Twitter. And if you want to message me, if you have any feedback for me, especially with this video today, or if you have any questions for me pertaining to weather or especially hurricanes, would always encourage, a nice little chat. I have Discord as well, and this is my Discord handle. So if you want to ask me any questions, would really encourage you to. And even if you just want to say hi, I would like that as well. But yeah, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your week. Let me know how things went today, and thanks for watching.